close as I die every day and turn away. Now I repent for being a hypocrite, a steady liar, presenting as a listener, but faith was quiet. Won't working how I said I was, cause all I gave was filthy rags. Gave in to all my demons, masked them all behind a porcelain mask. You cracked that, and the code inside my matrix. The man in the mirror ain't the same one I'm portraying. I lied, said it was you when I was speaking. Heard the voices in my head, ignored the word I got from reading.
Yo, what's up? Peace, 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 peace. Back again. Made a couple of changes. I found one of my RBGs. I think I need to lighten up a little bit. Is that better? I guess that's better. I don't care if it's better or not. I'm doing it. I'm doing what I want to do. And ain't nobody gonna tell me to do any different. So I have been cheating on my keto diet. Ended up getting a burger from Wendy's. But it is what it is. For a lot of people, they don't know. Doing keto for a long time. I was obese. I had them sugar diabetes. And I had been working on getting myself back in shape because a lot of people don't know, or they know now, is I used to be in the military. So, yeah, I was very fit. Very, very fit. But nonetheless, that ain't got nothing to do with today's topic. I just thought I'd share that because that's what this space is for. It's for sharing information, sharing thoughts. And I don't care if anybody says anything about me having this mic like this and not having a stand, because I'm going to do what I want to do. As you can see behind me, I got multiple mics behind me that I probably could use other than this, including this little beauty that I just picked up, which is a WA-87 for all you audio nerds out there. Got my granddaddy hat. This is his crown that I constantly wear. Yeah. So, let's get into today's topic, which is wrong on the scroll. So I'll fix that. Should have came prepared, but it is what it is. We're gonna talk about this because it's very important. A lot of in my lifetime, I have dealt with a lot of women. A lot of women. You may see me right now and be like, "Bro, you wailing," but I'm not. I've dealt with a lot of women. I've had a lot of women friends. A lot of women I've dealt with on relationship wise, sexual wise. I don't have to prove that to anybody. I'm just letting you know that it is what it is. And I still have a lot of women in my life as to which I be having relationship problems. 'Cause a lot of women get comfortable around me. I'm the safe guy until I'm not the safe guy. Which, I mean, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not being the creep. I am very okay with not being a creep because a lot of guys they will play the friend zone and they'll be a creep. I don't see the way that I see things. I don't see anybody as an object. I don't see anybody as being my property. I don't see I see people as human beings. So I can actualize and look into what it is that is going on with these human beings and understand on a humanistic level. And that's a lot of people who I see on the internet, they have a horrible time with communicating with other people because they lack social skills. And they haven't been around enough people in order to even, to even have uh, good dialogues with people. Like they don't meet people on a human level. And sometimes it works out in there, and it works out because that's their I don't want to say it helps in the entertainment factor of it. But when we talking about having real dialogue with real people, it's kind of trash. You're trash, bro. But yeah. So let's get into today's topic. Let's talk about this manipulation, cause a lot of people don't want to talk about it, especially in when it comes to women and the manipulation that they will use. They will use, and this in the biblical terms, a lot of pastors used to talk about this thing called the Jezebel curse. To which I don't agree with calling it a Jezebel curse. Um, I don't agree with it being called a curse because curses in the Bible were given to the Israelites, and those who were under the law were cursed. It wasn't those who were not under the law that were cursed. Um, from my understanding of the Bible. That's my understanding. If somebody read something that says something different, please inform me, enlighten me, show me the way. Because I don't know everything, and I don't pretend to know everything. And sometimes, even your pastor don't know everything, even though he'll tell you he knows the Bible like the back of his hand. No, it doesn't. Sometimes they forget too. They're humans, bro. They're humans. So let's get into this. Like I said, the reason why I can talk about this is because the Bible talks about it. Even as a Christian, we talk about the manipulation, over sexualization, using sex as a form or way to manipulate men into doing what it is that women what they want you to do. In the Bible, this is called being a witch. A lot of people like to think witches and warlocks and what have you, are green face, long nose, pimple face women who ride on broomsticks and have pale white faces and no, it's not. That's not how that operates. In the Bible, witches are people who are very manipulative women. They're very, very manipulative. It doesn't really necessarily have too much to do with the modernized witch, where they try to tell you that those witches are in cahoots with the devil as a practice. Devil worshiping and witchcraft are can be one in this can be spoken of in the same sentence, but they are not one in the same. In a way, and I'm gonna say in a way, because anytime that you're acting outside of what God intends for you as a human being, you're worshiping yourself, which is worshiping. It is a worship outside of the worship of God, and is worshiping the devil. That's just how I see it. I don't care what anybody else says about it. Show me something different, and I will take it in consideration. Anytime you do anything outside, anytime that you you blatantly point yourself in the way of sin. You're pointing yourself in the way of devil worship of the devil. That's what it is. that just is what it is. So if you're blatantly doing things, just doing it because you know you doing it, and you doing it because you want to, and you're you're doing it just blatantly. Like I said, you're just doing it blatantly. You're worshiping the devil. So let's talk about these Christian witches, or witches in general. When we talk about witches, it's a manipulation. Witches like to use chemical imbalances in order to manipulate you into doing their bidding. Now, a lot of people don't like to naturalize the Bible, which is stupid, because where you can see God in nature, and the Bible tells us that we can see God in nature. It tells us that. So we have to naturalize the Bible and bring it into a human realm, so that humans have an understanding, not the understanding, but a understanding of how the natural world works with the spiritual world. So if a woman knows that she can push your buttons, we know through science, we know that those are all chemical reactions. We know that. We know that using alcohol or using drugs creates a dependency. And a lot of times when you have witches, they use certain tactics to get you codependent on them, and to get you in a place where you are submitted to their will. They can do it through sex, which we know that soul ties are connected to sex, due to the changing of fluids, exchange of fluids, especially sexual fluids, using like alcohol, any kind of drugs. They will use all of those tactics. That's why there used to be a thing that used to tell you, what the old heads used to say, don't eat her spaghetti. Don't eat no spaghetti or nothing with a red sauce when you dating her. And the reason why they say that is because some women would put certain fluids in the red sauce to get you attached to them. Witchcraft. This is a thing that happens. The mind manipulation of these women is the same way. It's witchcraft. Because any chemically unbalanced person knows how to manipulate people. They know how. And some of the tactics that these women will use are things like shame. They will try to shame you into doing their will or being under their control. They will use sex as a weapon to bring you under their control. They will use, and we talk about this when we talk about narcissistic people. They will use people in their circle to also shame you. They call them flying monkeys, into submitting to these roles, or submitting to the object or the arbiter of this narcissistic behavior. It happens all the time. Again, this manipulation is something that has been taught from woman to woman over generation for many generations now. A lot of women will teach their daughters how to disrespect men and how to get men to obey what it is that they want. It's in the songs now. It's always been in the songs. I'm going to do him like this and make him pay for my boat or my yacht, and he going to do this and he going to do this, all because I put this on him, and da-da-da-da-da. We've all heard the songs. They're all over the radio. They have been all over the radio. And I'm not condoning I'm not condoning any of the other songs that lead to women behaving in these manners, thinking this is the right way to go. But nonetheless, because men do the same, men will do it too. But we're not talking about the men right now. But a lot of what I'm saying can go both ways, and a lot of what I always say goes both ways. Both men and women do this. But I'm a man. I'm speaking from a man's perspective, and I'm speaking to men. And if you want to hear, and you're a woman, yeah, here I am. So, like I said, these manipulation tactics vary, and it is they will try to shame you. They will try to do whatever it is. They will try to take sex away. And you hear this a lot, especially with married men, when their wives are upset with them. Or this is the saying, a happy wife is a happy life. So not only are you responsible for the happiness of another individual, but your own happiness is dependent upon whether you make this person happy or not. And it doesn't matter about your own individual happiness. So you have to sacrifice your sanity for another person's happiness. And if you don't bow the knee to this person, then at the end of the day, they're going to eventually create a situation where your sanity is compromised. Your mental health is compromised. This is called manipulation. A lot of people will try to psychologize their manipulative tendencies. I.e., a lot of women nowadays call ultimatums, or what they call ultimatums, or what we used to call ultimatums, boundaries. She's going to give you an ultimatum. She's going to give you an ultimatum of what you're supposed to do that she wants you to do. And if you don't do it, then you get whatever it is that you had access with her taken away. See, I don't play that game. And I never will play that game. Because to me, if you want to start taking things away, I'll just keep it moving. I will not stop my life because you're mad because I won't do what it is that you want me to do. It just is what it is. Because if you flip it on the other end, if you say, you ain't cooked dinner tonight, or you ain't been cooking dinner or washing my clothes for the last couple of months, so I ain't paying no bills, you'd be the bad guy. If she decides to disrespect you and you decide to leave, guess what? You're the bad guy. Because now you've abandoned your post. Doesn't matter what she did. You abandoned your post. Last time I checked, that was called manipulation. When someone knows that they can do whatever it is that they want to do to you, and because of some kind of social construct or some type of contract, you will always be in that position doing exactly what it is that they want to at all times. That's called manipulation. When somebody can always drop an ultimatum and get what they want by dropping ultimatums to make you do what it is that they want you to do, to bend the knee at their will, that's called manipulation. Because they know, already got you. I got you by the balls. Excuse my colloquialism. I got you by the gonads. Now I got you by the gonads. And you're going to do whatever I want you to do, or else. Or else what? That's the real question. Or else what? What are you going to do? Are you going to leave? Be my guest. See, the one thing that people hate is the fact that everybody has free will. And anybody who tries to tell you that your free will is a hindrance to them, they don't care about your free will, bro. They don't. They don't care about your God-given right to do what it is that you please. People are going to do what they want to do regardless if you want them to or not. They're going to do what they want to do. You cannot control them, nor should you try to control them. The only thing you're supposed to do is try to live the journey with them. It's not your job to change a person. That's for those of us who believe. That's for the Spirit to do. The Spirit is the one who changes us. Conviction changes us. But if I'm not convicted to do something, either you can keep it moving or leave. I mean, you can either keep it moving and leave, or shut up about it. It's kind of simple. It's kind of simple. And it sounds harsh when you say it like that, but at the end of the day, it's kind of, what are you going to do about it? You can't make this person change. And if you try to make this person change, then that means you're trying to control this person. And the moment that you try to control someone and how they operate is the moment that you start to lose. The moment that you start to lose. They're not losing because they're doing what it is. They're doing what is in their will to do. They are already doing what's in their will to do. But you want to try to stop that person from doing what it is they're going to do, and they're already doing it. You can try to have the conversation to try to understand why this person is doing it, but a lot of us ain't trying to do that work. We're not trying to understand each other. You're not trying to understand this person. You don't want to understand this person. And when somebody does not want to understand who you are on an individual level, that means that they don't love you. Because God understands you on an individual level. That's why we individually have a relationship with God, and we don't need anybody to intercede for us to speak to God. I don't got to pray to Mary. I don't got to pray to nobody, but I got to talk to God. It's relationship. God wants relationship. God created community. I keep saying that. God is about community. And when you understand God's community and how God's community is, then you get a lot further in life. Kingdom economics makes all the sense now. I don't have to get $1 million off of one relationship. I can have multiple relationships with multiple people and be getting $1 million from all of these people. It amounts to that. Or one relationship goes to another relationship. Because you're experiencing relationships, now you have the ability to transfer that love from one person to another. And it all be the same. It all be reciprocated. But again, these modern women, they don't want reciprocal. They don't want anything that's reciprocated. It's a one-way street. I had sex with you, so therefore you are indebted to me. I married you, so now you're indebted to me. Last time I checked, that's not how it goes. Last time I checked, that's not how it goes. Being married is a choice. It's a choice. It is a choice. And when people start understanding that marriage is a choice, then every choice that you make is based off of you choosing either to stay married or not be. It's not God's plan. It's not God's plan that you divorce, because he wants one man for every one woman. And for them to never separate. That's God's plan. That's God's will. But man on the other hand, he has chosen the route of being able to break away from that engagement, break away from that marriage, to separate, to tear something apart. It is the tearing apart of two that have become one. And when you understand that becoming one is becoming a unit, and you're subordinate to that unit as a wife, that's why a lot of women don't like military men. They don't like military men because we have standards of, you already know what time it is when you met me. Like, what's going on? You knew my background. Don't play like you didn't know what my background was. A lot of women couldn't fathom being married to an active duty service person. And when they do, a lot of them fail because they don't know how to operate in a position where their man is in wartime. I mean, in married time at all times. He's always gone. He's working. But this is another thing. When you have these rich women who are married to these men who are always working 40 and 80 and 90, 100 hours a week. And then they got to go find a boy toy. But these are the types of lives that women strive for. They want the opulence, but they don't want what comes with the territory. They want what they see, but they don't want the consequences or the responsibility that comes with it. Everybody want to be somebody's first lady, but they don't want to be first lady. They just want the title of first lady. She want to be a pastor, but she don't really want the totality of what it means to be a pastor. Because it ain't just about getting on stage and doing sermons and speaking to people. It just ain't about that. It's never just been about that. It's about building relationships with people and helping people to navigate the relationships that they have. That's why it takes an observant and male mind to do it. To be able to take your emotions out of it and actually observe it from a unbiased position without your lying heart being in the way. Without you putting your situation in their situation, because a lot of women do that. That's why when they get into their little girl clubs and their girl groups, they end up coming up with all of these blanket statements, like all men are this and all men are that. But again, this is the plague of the modern woman, and this goes into the house. And then when they learn these tactics and manipulations from these other women, because they're under the understanding again of the man being the enemy, and whatever the man says is wrong and whatever you say is right, and blah 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 blah. They start these tactics. They start learning these tactics, and you can see it in every aspect of life now. It's like it's in 4K now. It's in 4K now. Where these women will use every avenue they have to try to get you to submit to them. Manipulation. Again, these women who call themselves Christians are really witches. They'll even try to use church against you. Because a lot of these women don't even read their Bibles. Oh yeah, they'll listen to the gospel music. They'll even listen to the pastor because they're secretly in love with whatever power that pastor has, because they don't have to be in a real relationship with that man. It is the image of that man that they are interested in. It's not the actual man they're interested in, or the man that they follow. It's not the actual man, because if they actually had to live with that man under the rules and guides of that man, they probably do the same thing that they did to you that they would do to him. They wouldn't want to. Women live in their imagination at all times. I'm starting to understand that and starting to realize that. This is one of the reasons why we must bridle our tongues. We must control our own imaginations, and we must control our emotions. Stay in control of yourself. But see, this is the thing. A lot of these pastors don't want you to talk about you. They'll say, "Oh yeah, the man, and he's bad, and you can't let nobody tell you what to do," and bop, 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 bop. But they will never tell you about how to fix you. They all about fixing everybody else. Fix you. You the problem. You are the problem. You're the common denominator in all of your life's issues. Fix yourself. How about that? How about that be the new message of the church? Fix yourself. Because at the end of the day, when Jesus come down, he ain't going to ask you about nobody else but you. Fix you. Okay, he committed adultery, but you were unsubmitted as a wife. How about that? You ran him up out of your house. How about that? You was the home wrecker. How about that? But see, we don't like to talk about that. We don't like talking about that. A lot of times when people tend to say everybody is abusing them, if they got a long track record of saying everybody has abused them, everybody, or everybody is the problem, the common denominator is them. They are the real problem. Fix you. And that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. How about you fix you? Because that's what God asks of us, for us to fix us. You will be renewed by the changing of your mind, not the changing of Steve's mind, not the Sally's mind, of your mind. You. But you don't want it. You don't see it that way. You see it as obstructing your ability to learn, or your ability, period. Obstructing your ability, period. Because you want to do what you want to do. But you ain't thinking about nobody else. You thinking about everybody else other than you. What can I change to change my situation? You want this man to love you, but you ain't loving that man. You ain't loving him. Not in the way that you want to be loved. Because this is the key. Love your neighbors as you what? Love yourself as yourself. Love your neighbors as yourself. But you hate him. You don't like the person you with, but you don't even like yourself. But you want to call it self-love to be selfish. Self-love? No. How about let's do it the Christian way? It's called selfless love. Loving outside of yourself. The world asks you to have self-love. God asks you to have selfless love.
I don't know who this Living Spring. I don't know who this is, but I'll answer your question. I will definitely says, and who is your neighbor? The parable of Jesus implied that the neighbor is the person who is good to us. No, it's not. It's not. That isn't correct. No, and you're correct. It's not about race or culture. Jesus even said, love your enemies. Love your enemies. If your brother transgressed against you, or if he slaps you in your face, how many times should you forgive? It's about how we do good to other human beings. It's not just about that. It's not just about being good to other people. It's not. And the reason why it's not just about being good to people is because being good to people and loving one another is not the same thing. Uh I get you on the parable of the Good Samaritan, but however, again, when we talk about loving one another, that's what it's about. That's how you know what the Bible says when it says to love your neighbor. Loving your neighbor, loving your neighbor and doing good by one another. Loving your neighbor and doing good by one another has to do with God's will for one another. And I'm going to explain that. Let me explain that to you right now. Now, with God's will, we are to love one another and love God. So the first two of the commandments that was given by Jesus was to love God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. The world tells you to have, again, the world tells you to have selfless, self-love, meaning the love of self. God asks you to have selfless love, which is the sacrificial love. So I am willing to sacrifice my pride, my dignity, whatever it is, so that I may be able to help you to get to the kingdom. But I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to tell you, your neighbor is whoever. This goes for anybody. It's a blanket statement. It's the, you know what's selfless love is loving that person who told you they don't like you. It's loving that partner who transgresses against you. This is why God's love, why marriage is the image of God on earth. Man is the image of God, and marriage is the symbol of the image of God, because God is married to his people and he never leaves nor forsakes them. That's the two becoming one. Not only is it that, but also it's not about race or community. It's about the parable of the Good Samaritan. Salute. No, but it is. It is. God created us to be in the kingdom. The kingdom is the community of God. That's it, exactly what it is. God's community is the kingdom. You have to read more of the Bible, bro. And if you want to do some Bible study, I can definitely do that for you. We could do some Bible study. I didn't intentionally make this into a situation where we had to go into Bible study, but it is definitely about Bible. This is one of the main reasons why we need Bible study. It's about community. God created the community, and the family, the original family, was the community. And the community that he created in the beginning was Adam, Eve, and himself. That was the community that he created. And then from there, other families grew. And then we got from the flood. Now we are all the descendants of Noah. We are all the descendants of Noah. And through Noah, we are the descendants of Adam. So that's how we get to that point. I salute to you. I appreciate you for commenting in the comment section. I don't want to make it seem as if I'm battling you on this one. But again, let's get back to it. Your neighbor is anybody around. That includes anybody and everybody, because Jesus told us to go out and make disciples of all nations and all men. All nations are all men. All nations and all men. Our God is a God of multiplication. So he wants to multiply and make everybody a part of the kingdom. The treasures that we're supposed to store in the kingdom of heaven, the treasures that we're supposed to store in the kingdom of heaven are one another. It has nothing to do with none of your gifts, your all of the things that you have here, all of the things you have here. And the only way that we can be able to make disciples of all men is not by bashing them by the things that they do in sin. It's by loving one another and loving your neighbor. And part of loving your neighbor is also constructive criticism to your neighbor. You tell your neighbor, hey, bro, that's incorrect. But see, in our modern day churches, why I'm having this conversation right now, we don't give into manipulation and we don't give into terrorists, especially when it comes to the manipulation that goes on between the sexual dynamic. And again, a lot of the things that I'm saying may be talking about, I may have labeled it about women, but it goes both ways. But however, as a married man, I'm talking from a man's perspective. Eventually, I'll have one of my friends to come in and speak on a married woman's perspective. But until then, it's us guys talking. So to go in on the fact that manipulation happens in these relationships, especially in these new age relationships, women have been taught these manipulation skills. They've been taught how to manipulate these men into doing what bending to their will. This is what they call a partnership. Marriage is not a partnership. It never has been a partnership. Even in the image of the church being married to Christ, he sacrificed his life for the church, and the church was to obey Christ in that. The church is to submit to Christ, Christ is to sacrifice. That's how it goes. And in a marriage, because the church is the bride of Christ, that is the image to which marriage is supposed to go. God never married himself to any other people than his people, and all his people were all his people. Everything that he created was his. So he had dominion over everything. Everybody who was brought into the church becomes a part of the bride of Christ. So in saying that, in your own houses, in your own marriages, in your own houses and in your own marriages, the man is at the head of the household. There's a hierarchy there. That does not mean that the man has the ability to abuse his wife, but that also does not mean that the wife gets to use her understanding of a man's responsibilities to manipulate him into bending to her will. The teaching here is we don't bow down to manipulation, because again, the vision is given to the man. The blessing is passed through the man. It's never passed to a woman. The blessing comes from the right hand of the father to his children, not through the mother. Never has, never will, and nobody can tell me that's in the Bible anywhere. So again, we have to learn the difference between when somebody's trying to help you and be a helpmate, or manipulate you into doing their will. Because the only will that you should be trying to strive towards is the will of the Father at all times, regardless of what it looks like to everybody else. Because God might tell you to go down to the projects and go talk to these people, but to go talk to them drug dealers, but you see your pastor, you see somebody from the church ride past and wonder why you over there hanging out with the drug dealers. They need saving too. What you mean? I can't talk to them because of what you see? God does not judge a man by what man sees a man. That's biblical. God does not see man as man sees man. God sees man from his heart's posture. This is the reason why we have these issues, is because our heart postures are stone cold. And again, the manipulation from women, a lot of this manipulation comes from the fact that these women have hardened hearts. It is what it is. They have hardened hearts, and they've had hardened hearts because they have not gone through the process the correct way. A lot of these women and men have hardened hearts towards one another because they didn't do it the right way. Again, I am a victim. I'm not a victim. Sorry, I'm never a victim. It was my intention, or it was my fault that I went through the process of getting to marriage the way that I did. I got a lot of bodies, went through a lot of women in order to get to where I am now. And I think you probably seen this shirt and thought it had something to do with race or whatever. But that ain't what this is about. I made this for somebody and they gave it to me. So I'm just wearing a t-shirt somebody gave to me. So I hope that messaging of what's on my chest is not coming across as me being racist. So I apologize for that. It's just a shirt. It's just a shirt. Nothing more, nothing less. Nothing more, nothing less. Again, God does not see you. It does not see me as you see me, because while other people are seeing me live and direct in 4K, God ain't looking at that. He listening to what I'm saying. He's listening to what my heart is saying. And from the heart, the mouth shall speak. From the heart, the mouth shall speak. From the heart, the mouth shall speak. So let's get back down to what we was talking about in our topic. This manipulation. We don't give in to terrorists, because the devil will use a woman in order to get to the man. That's one of the first lessons that we ever learn. The serpent will use a woman to get to the man, and it will be the woman that he's attached to. The only way that a woman is supposed to protect a man is by protecting herself and keeping herself covered, so that the enemy does not have a doorway to get to the man, who is the one who is supposed to pass down the blessing. When the woman starts to listen to the serpent, that means these pastors out here preaching these womanism type of sermons, these feminist laden sermons, these the man ain't that good type of sermons. Only man that you should be respecting is a man that I deemed as good type of sermons. Because most women that I've ever spoken to, most that I've spoken to in my lifetime, most of the time when they have marital issues, relationship issues, or are still dealing with issues, is all because they did not either want to listen to the man that they were dealing with, they did not talk to the man that they were dealing with, or they did not try to communicate properly with the man that they were dealing with. I'm going to say it again. They did not talk to the man that they were dealing with. They did not try to communicate with the man they were dealing with. And they were not trying to hear anything that the man that they had dealing with, they were dealing with at all. They didn't want to hear it. See, when women are called to serve in a certain capacity, men are called to serve in a separate capacity. See, nowadays they want to put everybody. They try to say, using there will be neither Jew nor Greek as a calling card to say we're all equal, on equal footing. No, we're not. We're not on equal footing. We're not on equal footing at all. Now we are seeing the same. We're seeing the same in God. We're seeing the same. We have equal authority, but we don't have the same position. We don't have the same position at all. We do not have the same position. Point blank, period. We don't have the same position. We just don't. The position of a man, is to be the head. It is to be the head. The man is the head of the household. The man is the head of the household. The man is the one who is responsible for what happens in that household. Now, let's get to it. If you're being sabotaged by the one that you call that you joined with, if you're unequally yoked to that person and they want to sabotage the way that you're choosing to move, that's an issue. And that's a part of that manipulation. You ain't doing what it is that I want you to do, but I also want you to be in the position that I want you to be in. I.e., I'll listen to you only if I agree. Only time I want to listen to you is when I agree and when I accept it. That don't even sound like a partnership. That doesn't even sound like a partnership. Let alone a subordinate to a unit or a community. You're not a part of the community if you always want to act on what your volition is, or you want to impose your will on everybody. The man is the captain. It's his last. If he says, hey, this is what we're going to do, and this is the plan to make it happen, are you supposed to sit there and say, oh, I ain't doing that? That don't sound right. I don't believe it. You're going to have to show me. And then on the way of showing them, they still want to sabotage it. They still want to stress you out about it. It don't work like that, man. Submission is willful. So if you willfully don't want to submit, then don't get married. This is why we have to vet the people that we bring into our lives. We have to vet them. And submission is a very key point in that. If you are not completely and utterly submitted to God and God's word, then you can't inherit the kingdom. My pastor always says, obedience is the key to the kingdom. Obedience. To obey. But see, this is the beauty of our God. You got a choice. You got a choice whether to obey God or not. You have a choice whether you go to hell or not. You choose that. You do. You choose that. You choose that. So if you want to choose to go to hell or not, that's on you. That's nobody else's fault. It's not God. It's not. You can't be mad at nobody because at the end of the day, God didn't create hell for none of his creation other than those fallen angels and the serpent himself. God didn't create hell for nobody but that. But if you want to follow them into that, then that's your choice. And God knows who's going to make that decision or not. God knows that. God knows. And just because I know one of my kids is going to end up in jail don't mean that I won't still love them and then I won't still try. God, even though I know my wife is not going to ever submit to me, I still love her. But I made a commitment. See, this is the thing that people don't understand about Christian relationships. When you're in a Christian relationship and you're serious about God in your relationship, you're serious about sacrificing a lot of yourself to God for the benefit of what it is that he created the kingdom for. See, they ain't ready for that type of sacrifice because that takes you out of the equation. That's selfless love. That's unconditional love. That's selflessness. God never calls us to love ourselves. He says, love one another as God loves you, as Christ loves the church, willing to sacrifice. Now, does that mean that you, in all of that, you take abuse from these people? You allow manipulation from these people? No, you don't. You don't. And just because you love somebody does not mean you have to be attached to this person. Being in love and being attached are two different things. A lot of people are attached to people, but they're not really in love with these people. They're attached, not in love. And that's an issue. Because now, because of your attachment, you can't even serve God correctly. Because you with this person for the wrong reasons. And it don't matter what reason you're with this person. If it's not to, if you're with this person for any other reason but to serve the purposes God intended you to serve, then you are doing yourself, that person, and the institution of marriage in huge injustice. You are. It's a huge injustice to sit here and be like, oh yeah, I love you, but I don't want to do this no more. I don't want to do my job. I don't got to do nothing. But see, this is why, again, we have to talk about this whole manipulation thing. The modern woman definitely has been taught both psychologically, both subconsciously and consciously, how to manipulate men into bending to their will. And we used to talk about it all the time. It's called the Jezebel curse. It's called the Jezebel's curse. But we don't talk about that no more. Why don't we talk about that anymore? Why don't we talk about the Jezebel's curse anymore? Because it goes against the new foundation of the church. See, God, one thing people don't like about God is punishment. They don't want to talk about punishment. Oh no, we can't talk about punishment. That scares people away. Blah 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 blah. Jesus ain't never turned away from talking about punishment. Did you ever for one time hear Jesus turn away or stray away from talking about punishment or not inheriting the kingdom? He told him John said that he was going to come to baptize them in fire. In the spirit and in fire. You about to get thrown in that lake. That's what John said. I came to baptize you in water, but he will come to baptize you both in spirit and in fire. That's what John said. So if you don't believe, I mean, the only way, and I hate the fact that we got real churchy on this jump. No, I don't, because I like talking about God. I love God. Even though I don't serve God in the capacity that I humanly think I should be. God knows exactly what he's doing with me in the positions that he puts me in. I didn't test me. He allowed the devil to come into my life, and the devil tested me. And then I put myself in certain positions in order to be tested. And when I failed those tests, because all the devil gonna do is put the battery in your back. Whether you charged up to do it or not is dependent upon you and your free will and what you do with your free will. That's what it comes down to. What you want to do with your free will. But again, let's get back to this manipulation thing. With manipulation, the manipulation that's been going on, man, it's highly dangerous and toxic. And this type of manipulation has also interfered in how pastors teach. Again, pastors ain't gonna talk about ain't sitting up here talking about modesty in a church like that. They ain't talking about modesty like that in their church. They talking about how to get money, how to be successful. They talking about everything that the world enjoys to hear about. They ain't talking. They like, we getting away from that hell and brimstone because we need to sing more in church and we need to have a 30-minute happy session that we don't even we talk about. We don't read scripture. We just talk about scripture. And, I got my sermon that's hyper emotional and we don't really dissect what it is that we're talking about. Like, Bro, we done got away from a lot of that stuff. We got a lot away from a lot of that stuff. And it ain't even just feminism. It's the intersectionality that's can't come into the church too. But again, these things have come in using the methods of manipulation. And a lot of women are the ones who brought this into the church. When we as men started to leave the church because the pastors were started either pacifying the men, trying to make them bow to his will. Because, bro, I'm not following you as no pastor and you sitting over here trying to nail my wife, nail my kid, molest my kid, whatever they was trying to, because they was power tripping. In that time, when a lot of men were leaving the church, they was power tripping. These pastors were power tripping. Checks and balances happen. Now when you ain't got nothing but women in the church. The men won't having it. But the women was okay with it. So what did the pastors start doing? They started talking to the emotions to the women. Because that was the crowd they had. They wasn't talking to the multitude. They only spoke to one segment. And that was the segment that was paying them attention. And that right there was a fall. Because now you want to talk to only a certain segment of the kingdom. You want to put everybody in a little box and talk to only that little swath of the kingdom. You don't want to talk to the whole kingdom. You just want to talk to whoever is going to make you rich in this world. In this world. Let your riches not be in this world, but store your riches in high places. That's what it says. But a lot of these pastors have stored all their riches here on earth. They're living their heaven right here on earth, and they're telling you that you can have everything you want and be happy and this, that, and the third all on earth, and you just gotta. But that's not biblical, bruh. That's not biblical. The Lord told us that you will have trials and tribulations and you will go through things. But those who endure to the end shall inherit the kingdom. Those who endure to the end will inherit the kingdom. That's what he said. But see, we like to lie because of manipulation. We don't like to talk about that stuff. And they're being manipulated by the hearts of people who are fickle. Let one of these pastors go off the rails and say something women don't like. Guess how many women will leave that congregation? It happens all the time. A lot of these pastors ain't sat down because of their egos, and the women still in the church because they okay with it. They like, oh yeah, sure, my pastor done had plenty of affairs. We just, But if you would have read your Bible, the Bible says that a shepherd should be beyond reproach. Not a drunkard, in control of himself. That's what a shepherd should be. That's why I ain't trying to tell myself not trying to tell myself I'm gonna be a shepherd. Because all men are can be led to folly. All men can be led to folly. All men can be led to folly. All men. So again, we have to take in consideration and understand that because your church is being positioned to be led, either they're being led in front of the scenes or behind the scenes by women, which is not going to fly with most men. It's not going to fly with most men. That's why a lot of church attendance is hard to get men into church, because ain't no male leadership there allowing men to have a position in the church or men to choose their position in the church. See, they want to tell you what you're going to do in the church instead of allowing you to the ability to operate in your gift, in the gift that God gave you. I don't need no daggone test, no gifts test to tell me what it is that I can and cannot do for the church. If I want to sing on the praise team, you should let me sing on the praise team no matter how bad I sound. Until I figure out this is not for me. Because God if you operating in the spirit, God gonna show you. God gonna show you. Because exhortation doesn't matter. When you exhort God, it doesn't matter whether you're doing good or not. I mean, whether you sound good to everybody else. Make a joyful noise unto the Lord. Make a joyful noise. But I'm getting off topic. Let's get back to this topic. Because I can talk about that all day. But again, like, it's crazy to me that in this modern day and age that we have bent the knee to the emotions of people. That's why you get intersectionality in churches. That's why you get feminism in churches. That's why you have progressive Christianity trying to take over the church, telling you that the Bible is wrong and that they're still Christians even though they don't follow the instructions that are in the Bible. Where do they do that at? Where do they do that at? And I was just watching Mark Winger, which is somebody who I vehemently watch. And he was saying like it kind of don't even matter how you approach it. People are going to be offended when people are offended. It's not for you to choose whether they're going to be offended or not. It's up to you to tell the truth, and whoever receives that truth is who's going to receive it. Whoever receives the truth is going to receive it. Whoever receives the truth. This is why Jesus said, if you go into a place and you do not find anyone who is friendly towards you, dust your feet, dust your sandals off, and keep it moving. You don't stay in places. You don't stay in places you're not wanted. I'm not going to be a Christian I'm not that Christian that I would go to a gay pride parade and start conflict with these people when I know they don't want me there. Not intentionally. I'm not going out there with flags and all of this stuff. How do you do it? You find a friend. Maybe you find somebody, because all being homosexual is sexual. It's sexual immorality, and it's homosexuality is a how do I want to say? It's a it's a form of lust, sexual lust. The act of it is what is the sin. Just being attracted to men is not the sin. It's the act of doing so. Now, under grace, you can say under grace, if that's where your mind goes, then that's also where your heart is. But we all struggle with this. It's all about changing one's mind, and through the Spirit and through study of the Word, that's when we strengthen our spirit. Through the study of the Word, we strengthen the spirit. And I'm talking to myself right now. Through the study of the Word, we strengthen our spirit. And from the strengthening our spirit, the devil cannot enter into your sphere to be able to shut you down. The devil know who he is. He know who on fire. He know who on fire. He know who on fire. And he going to attack you at your lowest point if he know you was on fire and your fire starting to dim, because, hey, that's a tactic, bruh. And again, it's the manipulation. The devil will manipulate you into a corner. He will. He will. That's how he works. He don't walk. The devil never walks straight head up. He don't go head up with you. He go to the side. He go behind. He go every which way. He go through your peripheral. Anyway, you're not watching. That's why in the beginning he didn't attack Adam. He couldn't attack Adam. Adam was strong with God. Adam was strong with God. That's why when God came into God, he said, bro, where you at? Where are you? Where Where you at? What you talking about, you naked? I never told you was naked. Who? What? Bruh, did you really? And then Adam, well, Eve. No, bruh, I told you. I told you to not eat of the fruit. I ain't say nothing about her. I said you. You shall not eat of the fruits of the tree of good and evil. I told you that. Bro, you tripping. Bro, I can't have this. I can't have this here. If you're not gonna follow me, bro, if you're not gonna trust me, if you don't trust me, bro, then bro, I can't. I still love you, but if you don't trust me enough to follow me, bro, we can't do this. We can't do this if you don't trust me enough. You trusted her over me, and I was the one that made you. That's the conversation. Can't you? Wasn't that not the conversation? You trusted her over me, and I made you. I'm the one who provided all of this stuff for you, and you do this? Are you serious? I'm heartbroken, bro. Why would you do that to me? I knew you was gonna do it, bro. But I still love you. Just put this stuff on. But you can't come back here, bro, because this is for the ones who obey. And y'all did not. So until we can reconcile this through your lineage, until we can reconcile it through the lineage, you're going to have to be in the wilderness. And you will die. You will die. But that's what you chose to do. Okay. I'll stay with you until the end. I will never leave nor forsake you. He kicked him out of the house like a disobedient teenager. That's crazy. The father kicked the son out of the house because of his girlfriend, because he wanted to go with his girlfriend. He wanted to do what his girlfriend was doing. He wanted to do what his wife wanted to do. And this is what we're talking about now. We do not give into terrorism. We do not give into manipulation, because the serpent manipulated Eve and Eve manipulated Adam. So when you out here and you doing God's will, as you know you're supposed to be doing God's will, do not let nobody take you away from what God entrusted you to do. Don't let nobody do it. Nobody. Because they will try you. They're going to try to take you out of God's will. Because they don't think it's the right thing to do. As if they know everything God done told you what to do. God woke me up this morning. He woke you up too, but he woke me up this morning. Personally, he woke me up this morning. So you're not going to tell me nothing that God told me what to do. God told me what to do. He didn't tell you to tell me. He didn't tell you to tell me what to do. I don't bow to you. I bow only to God and what God's word said. And God's word said that I am the head of this household. It didn't say I abuse you. It didn't say any of that. It just said, if you're in this position and you choose to be in this position and you choose to be in your position, then these are the roles that are to be had. These are the roles. And in those roles, there are rules. And it's up to you to abide by those rules and regulations. You got a choice in this matter. But the moment you choose to do otherwise is the moment that this will A, not work, and B, you will be damned because you did not choose to do the right thing. Everything is a choice, and everybody wants to lose the fact that they have a choice in the matter. And that's called personal accountability. And this is why people give into choosing to manipulate other people, because they don't want to they don't want to really they don't really want to talk about what it is they do. They want to talk about what everybody else does. Again, like I said in the beginning of this, it's about them controlling you to make you do what it is they want you to do because they have to have control. Same thing with the last video. These women will tell you to obey me. And then the moment that you're some kind of sheep to them, they will discard you. And this is not about making decisions as far as it goes. It's not about decisions as far as it goes with what we gonna eat tonight, like Wendy's or something petty like this. This is about real life decisions. How you structure your household. Like in my household, I told my wife whatever she want to do at the house is what she want to do at the house. I'm not gonna stop her. Okay, you want to put up gray walls? I don't care. That's not important to me. What's important to me is making sure that all these bills get paid, and then when you want to go do something, that also gets paid, and that you're not dragging us into debt over what you want to do. All that other stuff, I don't care. I don't care about none of the other stuff. I'll act like I care, but I really don't. And that may sound cruel to some people, but in all actuality, most men don't care. As long as they got a good meal, clothes on their back, water in their gut, food in their gut, and all their bills paid, all that opulence can go out the window. Because most of the time, men only want to exceed their limitations because they want to. We're conquerors. That's first and foremost. But but first and foremost is because they want to extend their life through their seed. That's one. I want to be able to pass something down to my kids. A lot of men think that way. I want to be able to pass something down to my kids. I want my kids to have something. I don't want to leave my kids with nothing or leave my kids with debt like my parents did. That's not what I want to leave. I want to leave a legacy. A lot of men are legacy minded. That's why when it comes to you getting married to these men, or these men marrying you, they're not going to marry you because you are a hindrance to their legacy. And then if you do manipulate or trick them into getting married to you, it don't last long. That's why you choose to leave. You don't choose to stay in it. You choose to leave. Or you choose to wreck your own home through manipulation, through all of those little tactics. And you're a danger to his legacy. Like, come on, man. You are a danger to this man's legacy. And you don't even want to admit it because of your pride. You think it's just because you right all of the time and you want to be right most of the time that this man, that what's going on is all about him exerting his power over you and not him having a boundary there of saying that I'm not going to allow you to change my mind on what it is, on the direction that I'm going. Either you can go with me or you go with me or you don't. See, it's okay for a woman to have her boundaries and express her boundaries, but male boundaries are normally seen as some type of abuse. Hey, you might not believe in, hey, if you don't want to do this, I'm not going to do that. You don't pay that. You're not paying for that. I am. So if you're not paying for it, and you disrespecting me, hey, it is what it is. I'm not going to allow you to keep on disrespecting me and then think I'm supposed to sit here and do what it is that you're asking me to. Not even asking me, telling me to. Because you would never do that with God. You can't do that with God. You can't do that with God. You can't sit up here and tell God, oh, you're going to let me in heaven regardless of what I do. or it's gonna be trouble. I'm gonna cause all kind of chaos. Cause guess who you sound like? Guess who you sound like? You sound like Satan. Cause that's what that was. Want that the conversation that was had? Oh, I'm gonna make man bow down to me. I ain't bowing down to him. Who do you think you are? I'm gonna be greater than you, Dad. Ain't that the conversation that was had? I don't care if you created me or not. I don't care who you is. I'm gonna do what I want to do, and I'm not bowing down to that man. And guess what he did? Bink! Shot him right out of the sky like a thunderbolt. And he was just like, "I'll see you later. You gonna be in timeout for a minute. You know that, right? And when you go in timeout, you going in real timeout this time. I'm not playing that game with you. Stop playing games with me, boy." That's the voice of God. That's the voice of God. If God did that to one of his own children, one of his own creations, why do you think you're any different? Why do you think you're any different? God has love for the sparrows, but he views you as greater than that. So he already knew Satan was going to do what he was going to do. He's the father. He see his kids. He know what his kids going to do. But a lot of y'all ain't even got, a lot of people are not even real parents to even identify themselves or understand the identity of God the Father, to understand what God the Father is even doing, or how God the Father is even has the ability to know exactly what his children are going to do and still allow them to have free will. I'm a father. I know my kids be in there cutting up. I know when they up in there cutting up. I know they gonna cut up before they know they gonna cut up. Way before I know that. I had to prove myself to my son, my eldest son. He thought that he thought in his mind that I didn't know that he was cutting up in school. I didn't have to go to the school. I knew he was cutting up in school. I knew he was lying to me about everything. I knew what he was doing when he was on a computer. I knew everything that was going on because I know my children. But this is what God does. He already knows his kids. I created you. I'm your father. And I ain't even talking about my real son. I'm talking, well, he is my real son, but he's my wife's son. I know my children. I observe my children. I see them every day. I know what they do. I know how they act in certain situations. But that's what God does. God is the Father. But again, we can't allow any type of manipulation to change us away from what God wants us to do. It don't matter where or who it comes from. Manipulation is manipulation. And like I said, the manipulation that has come from these modern women has seeped into everything. Everything. Even pastors have bent the knee down to what the world wants you to say. None of us are separated from that. Even in our own governments. Hey, Pooh. My little baby.
Did you have fun today?
Yeah, I had fun today. Hey, I'm gonna go eat, okay? So none of us are separated from what is going on. And guess what? This is the thing that's going to make a lot of you guys mad. A lot of men on this mad about this. It's y'all's fault. Yeah, I said it. Because guess what? Even though I told you the story or told you about what happened with Adam and Eve and how Eve manipulated Adam into eating the fruit, and how Eve was manipulated by the serpent to manipulate Adam into eating the fruit, guess who God came to? Adam. Adam. He went looking for Adam. He didn't go looking for Eve. He didn't go looking for Eve. He went to go look for Adam. Adam, where you at? I don't see you, bro. That's exactly what happened. And I know it's a lot of pastors who can flip that story around, bruh, and da 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 da, and well, you know, Adam should have been around and his blah blah blah. It ain't have nothing to do with that, bruh. Guess what it had to do with? Guess what it had to do with? And it's right there in the text, bro. It's right there in the text. Regardless of what she did, he followed her. I don't think God would have kicked both of them out of the garden. I don't think God would have kicked both of them out of the garden if he had not taken the fruit. It don't matter what she did. It's what he did. And everything that I have ever done in my life, especially in my marriage, when it came to me messing up, at the end of the day, if I messed up, it ain't had nothing to do with whether my wife did anything or not. I messed up, and it was on me. It was my responsibility. Because when it comes to serving God, it ain't got nothing to do with nobody else but you. I told you, and again, this is what I'm going to leave off on. God ain't tell nobody that anybody else or any other thing had to do with them being saved or saving them. All the music in the world will not save you. Your pastor will not save you. None of that will make you saved. The sacrifice already makes you saved. Yet and still, when Jesus comes back, he going to ask you, the individual, what did you do? It's right there in the parable about the talents. I gave you one talent, and you chose to hide it away from me, you worker of iniquity. Gave one man 2 talents. He turned them 2 talents into 4. But the one who hid his talent and did not do anything with it, he punished him. And I know you might not be able to correlate that, or somebody with all their semantics is going to say, they ain't got nothing to do with it. Yes, it does. It does. It all correlates. It all correlates in some way or fashion. Because at the end of the day, it's about what you do with God, what God gave you. It's about what you do. And that's the difference between what the world's church will tell you and what the real church will tell you. The real church tells you it's about you and how you change you. It ain't about how you change the world, because it's for you to change you. And by you changing you through the Spirit, then everything around you will change. Fix you first. Fix you. It's called self-accountability. No matter what nobody else do. Ain't nobody tell you to be petty. God says stop being petty. God says stop being petty. And it don't mean that you amen every time somebody say something that you feel is all right, because you might need to turn around and observe your own self. Don't externalize what's being said, internalize it. That's the mark of humility. When you internalize what's being said. I need to fix this about me, not about everybody else. I need to fix this about me. I need to put more fire and spark on the fire he gave me. Not externalizing it. So with that said, man, I love you guys all. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you to all my subscribers. Thank you to all of the watchers. I truly appreciate you guys. I'm not gonna promise that this is gonna always happen. Cause sometimes I be needing a break and I have a lot of work, so I can't even do YouTube like I want to. But yeah, I truly appreciate you guys. Love your neighbor as yourself. As yourself. How you want to be loved. Love them how you want to be loved. Not how they return the love. Not how they return the love. Not how they show you love. Love them like you want to be loved. How you love yourself. Love them that way. And then love God with all your heart. Because if you don't love them in the way that you love yourself, then you can't say you love God. Peace and blessings.